I'm getting now to understand why politics is very important if you're a person in business, not even a person, for everyone. You should be involved, you should understand, you should know who you're voting for, go vote. That guy's, everyone's fate is in that person's hands.
Yeah.
If he wakes up in a bad mood,
would you love to be president?
No.
No. And if you look at what has taken place in Argentina, go and study Javier Milei. One of the best presidents. He's done what not many presidents have done, what Javier Milei has done. Javier Milei has brought Argentina from a trade deficit of 14 years to a trade surplus in less than a year. And how he did that is by, again, reforms. He said they do 3 to 6 reforms every single day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Traders Show brought to you by Financial Hub. Your co-hosts are I, Caleb Sam, and my partner, Kenneth Munene. Now, in today's topic, we're going to talk about 2025 and the presidency of Trump. What we see, his decisions, his tweetings, his executive orders are going to affect not only America, but the world as a whole. Now, I'll read a short introduction prepared for you by artificial intelligence. We take advantage of artificial intelligence just to bring you up to speed of what is going on in the Trump's presidential era. Okay? The story, today we're going to talk about the story of Donald J. Trump's rise to become the 47th president of the United States. It's a saga of comebacks, controversies, and relentless determination. From his shocking 2016 victory to impeachment trials, the Mueller investigation, and the chaos of the 2020 elections, Trump has been at the center of one of the most turbulent eras in American history. He's faced lawsuits, indictments, media bans, and a divided nation. But instead of crumbling, he turned every setback into fuel for his roaring political engine. Whether you love him or loathe him, Trump's resilience, branding genius, and unshakable base defied the odds and sent him back to the White House. Strap in as we unpack the wild ride that brought Donald Trump from the storm to the spotlight once again. This is a remarkable journey of a man who's refused to fade into the shadows. This man is known as President Donald J. Trump. Now, many people are happy about this presidential. Locally here, we saw many people celebrate the likes of DBK when he became president, and we saw him celebrate this election win and inauguration the other day. And not everyone is happy. There are many people also on the Kamala camp, Kamala Harris, and who's her running mate?
Who?
Do you
For
remember?
Kamala?
Yeah.
It was called Tim Walz. Tim Walz
Yes, Walz. Okay, so Walz was the running mate for Kamala. So, Trump got 2 assassination attempts, survived all of them, came out with his fists up in the air saying, "Make America great again. MAGA, MAGA, MAGA." And he had a good backing, and we'll talk about this compared to the Kamala Harris. But that was one of the most watched presidential elections around the world, most followed. We kept watching his speeches, his rallies.
His inauguration had the most views.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
In history, yeah.
In history, it was compared to JFK. It was
And
compared
Reagan,
to
I remember.
Reagan
as well. Yeah. So everyone's eyes are on the American soil. Will Trump be able to make America great again? What does it mean to make America great again? Will his executive orders, which he did 26 executive orders on the first day of office, that's more than Biden has done in all his 4 years as president. If you combine the first day executive orders compared to Barack Obama, Bush, and Clinton, all combined do not even reach the amount that he did on his first day in office. So I'm excited to see this. We'll talk about it. We'll compare with 2016. What happened? We used to follow news on Twitter. Twitter was the first place to get information. Just later on, for Trump to be banned
On
from Twitter,
yeah.
and now making his comeback not only as Donald Trump but as POTUS, President of the United States.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll let Ken say something, then I'll come back, then we get into what we are seeing we'll face during the Trump's presidency the next 4 years.
Yeah, so I think for me, this is a mysterious person in some way, in that I don't understand how a businessman from New York comes into politics. He doesn't run for Senate, he doesn't run for any other seat,
Mayor
or anything. He goes directly at the presidential seat.
ambition.
He wins the Republican nomination.
Out of nowhere.
And out of just winning the Republican nomination, again, beats Hillary Clinton to become the president of the US. I think it's
Just a question. Are you wearing this and support Republicans? Or
I never did it consciously, but it looks like I am. By that, I'd be a Republican if I did the US. Not necessarily because of Trump, but because of my ideologies. I don't think I'm a liberal.
Okay.
I'm a conservative. So that is one thing that really amused me. And I was amused by Trump first, long time ago. But even when he started trading, many people never expected Trump would be the president back in 2016. I remember even watching some billionaires like Rubenstein.
Yeah.
He had hosted him on the Economic Club of Washington, and Trump told him, make sure you ask me if I'll vie for president. And Rubenstein was quite surprised and asked him, president of what? Because I don't think you can even get a single vote. And surprisingly, Trump became the US president. So I think he's a man who beats the odds.
So you still believe America is a place for dreams to come true?
Definitely. I don't think there's any other place in this continent where you
As
can...
compared.
Yeah, there's no other place.
The moment you've all been waiting for is finally here. We've partnered with Paperstone, one of the world's leading Forex brokers, my personal best, to bring you an exclusive opportunity. And trust us, you won't want to miss out on this. We're giving you the chance to learn Forex for free at Financial Hub, but there's a little twist to it. All you need to do is find your Paperstone account and boom, you're all in. Deposit $100 and get access to our basic course. Perfect for beginners. Or deposit $250 and get access to our exclusive course that is best for advanced traders. Why is this huge? Because you get to learn while you earn. Trade the real money and get real experience. And also you get lifetime access. Once you're in, you're in. Sign up for our Paperstone Forex account using the link below. Deposit your $100 for the basic course and $250 for the advanced course. Send us proof and get instant access to your course. So you're ready to level up? Click the link in our bio and get started.
So he beats the odds, he becomes the president, and he does a phenomenal job. That's the most amusing thing again. He comes into Washington not knowing much, but he has an idea of how a country should be run, I think from business and also from the people he interacts with. He does the economy well. He lowers taxes during that time. He brings in tariffs, which brings a lot of revenue to the US. And things are going quite well. But then COVID happens, and that is where he messes up everything.
Yes, how he handled it.
Yeah, how he handled COVID was where he lost the 2020 election. Other than how he handled COVID, he would have easily again beaten Biden and gone back to win again the US presidency. However, in 2020, he loses the election, and who beats him? Biden. So Biden comes in, and 4 years after Biden comes in, Trump is back, and he's now back with a sweep. He's not just back, he's back with
the whole world behind him.
The whole world. He now has, because if you look at the 2016 election, the people who are backing him, most of them were in finance, the billionaires, Ken Griffin, Steve Schwarzman. Those are the guys who are on the front line campaigning for him back then. But then in 2024, we saw a very different breed of billionaires. Elon Musk, Zuckerberg. The tech side now was the one that was behind Trump. And the main reason for that was they really liked the idea that he would emphasize deregulation and allow innovation to take place. Because I think one of the things that liberals have been accused of is they have so many regulations that they stifle innovation. Unlike the Republicans who are coming in with the idea that, we don't need to regulate these markets, especially at a level where we stifle innovation. And that really, really helped him. But more than that, I think he's a marketing genius. I'm really looking forward to a biography done on him. I don't think I have... There are good biographies that you read and you understand a man. I don't think anyone has done that on Trump yet. But I think there is a very, very... There are serious writers somewhere who are considering doing that, especially once he's done with his term. I'm really waiting to see the biography that will be done, and I hope the one who will write it will focus on both the strengths and the weaknesses. I wish someone like Walter Isaacson could do that. Like, how do you move from business to doing so well in politics and becoming a president of the most powerful country, not once but twice, against all odds? There are so many things you've been accused of, including attacking Capitol Hill, but you still come back and you win and you
get a mugshot.
Yeah. So there's a lot about the man that is something that you need to sit down and think about. But all my thoughts have led me to the one conclusion that he has a way of marketing that he just can influence you from just sitting around you, and he has a way of influencing people, a way of marketing himself, a way of making himself appear larger than life.
True salesman.
A true salesman, and it works. It just works well for him. Like people are different, people have different strengths. I think for him that is his biggest strength. He can make himself look larger than life, and you'll buy into that narrative. Back in the days when he was doing The Apprentice, you'd see him flying around with jets written Trump. Like he knows how to...
But then that was a PR stunt.
Yeah.
He was doing badly back then. So
Yeah.
he had to reshape his image using The Apprentice.
Exactly.
And it really changed how people look at
View
him.
him. Yeah. So if you think about what he's always done,
Which is still a genius move.
he's a very smart man. So you just don't lead the country like that. But in my opinion, that's something that has been quite amusing from his side. However, we'll come to his beliefs. People like Dana White were supporting him, Joe Rogan. So if you look at the things he did, the family itself, now it's become a big family. It's now equivalent to the Clintons, the Bushes. If you see another Trump vying for president, I wouldn't be surprised. It will
Like
still
the
make
Bushes
sense.
and the Clintons.
Yeah. So that's who Trump is, I think, in my opinion. A true marketing genius. Someone who understands people also quite well. Knows how to play with cameras also quite well. He doesn't play around those things. He does so well around them. And that has made him the US president again for the second time. Let's see what he has in store for us. But we'll share with you some opinions. I think that's where I can start.
Okay, so before we get into how we think Trump will affect, just a bit personal opinion. I've now come to understand, the more I grow up, the more I understand why politics and power is sought after by most powerful people. Why people fight and die for it. Why people protect it and want to stay in power for as long as they can.
So what would be the reason?
There's no specific reason, but the fact that you have absolute power over laws, and I'll talk about a few execution orders that Trump has made. The fact that you can decide who works with your country or not. Like, for example, look, Trump went in front of the whole world and said, TikTok could be worth 1 trillion. But if they don't give 50% to Americans, then he'll close it and it'll be worth 0. Without America, they're worth 0. But if he brings them in, they're worth 1 trillion. Why not share 500 billion Chinese and Americans? So that's power. He can decide the fate of a company, the fate of a person, the fate of wars, the fate of everything. So there's a lot combined, and those privileges that you get also being in power and being president, not only for you but for your family, it's unprecedented. Not everyone gets that such privilege in their whole lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's a lot combined, but I'm getting now to understand why politics is very important if you're a person in business, not even a person, for everyone. You should be involved, you should understand, you should know who you're voting for, go vote. Miss J vote, I'll say it as it is. I've never not understood, but now I understand
You've never taken an interest.
I've never taken an interest. I used to be just...
You were a child back then.
Yeah, I was child liberal. I just wanted to do my own things. But now I've come to understand this guy is the person who put in power is very... the future of our country is very dependent on who we put in power. So those things, if you're in business, who connections do you have? How will your business prosper? How will everything...
What laws will be implemented?
What laws will be implemented? It might be against your company that you've worked 20 years for, shut down in one day. It might be in the... like, for example, Donald Trump immediately started executive orders for the immigrants. He said this is going to be the biggest deportation in American history when he's in power. So that guy is... Everyone's fate is in that person's hands.
Yeah.
If he wakes up in a bad mood...
But don't you think it's a very, very heavy responsibility?
It is. But the fact that people fight for it, it is heavy, but it has its benefits that can equal the amount of being in power, that burden. That
burden is equal to the privileges you get.
The benefits that he has and what he can do.
Would you love to be president?
No. No. Choose maybe later on. Now I might be no. But I'm not. I'm following politics now, but I'm not yet in a position where I want to be MP, senator.
You wouldn't want those seats.
Let me still look for business entrepreneur, founder, CEO, CFO. Bado politics. It's not for everyone. For example, Kina Musk. They're not really looking. I want to be more on the business side. Let's be the guys who pull strings.
Not the one in the limelight.
Not the one in the limelight. But anyway, let's get now straight into what Trump has in store for us. I'll start off by just noting, I have a list here of a few of the executive orders that he did on his first day. Just to outline them, because I'm sure many people don't know. They just hear executive orders. I won't mention all of them. There are about 26 that he did on the first day, but just the general main ones. Okay? So, a couple. Ending the weaponization of federal government. Restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. Things like Twitter. And that's why before he became president, we saw Facebook also remove their censorship and all that. America First policy, directive to the Secretary of State, ending radical and wasteful government programs like the Paris Climate,
the Paris Climate Act,
World Health Organization, and understand that these guys put people like Elon in the Dodge Department of Government Efficiency. These guys are very efficient. As much as Donald Trump has become president, he's also very business-minded. How can we compare that just a little bit? If we go back to the election period, Kamala Harris raised in a span of 8 months, 8 to, let's say about 9 months towards the election, $1.2 billion combined for the whole campaign together with the Democrats. Okay. On the Trump camp, they only did about 400, if we round it off to the higher side, $400 million. Everything was skewed against them. These guys had money. They had a big backing of billionaires behind them. This side, they didn't really have. But at the end of the day, like you say, we'd really like to read that biography and understand how did these guys manage to do that. Trump was, like Ken is saying, a marketing genius. He keeps saying that people like his son, Baron Trump, are the people who advised him to seek the Gen Z and the millennial votes by going to podcasts. Like Joe Rogan and Baron actually chose which
specific
podcast to go for that the young people are listening to, and avoid really paying attention to going to media houses like Fox, CNBC and such stuff. So, another very big executive order, holding former government officials accountable for election interferences and improper disclosure of sensitive government information. Okay, so he's removed that. We now expecting him to remove the details of JFK assassination. unleashing American energy, withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. Now, this was funny because I was reading an article on it. So they are saying, look, if you think about it, America was removing about 350 million per year to the World Health Organization, and a country like China was removing about 39 million, $40 million. America has a population of 300 million people,
China
and
has
China has
a
a billion people. So Trump was like, why the hell are we removing all this
contributing this
money?
much?
Why is China should be removing almost 5 times as they are? So if you just compare, some things actually make sense. You know,
But some things, all things
yeah,
that this guy has
you
done.
need someone to come into power and question things,
Yeah.
and ask, why are we doing this? Why are we contributing to... In the Biden organization, Biden donated over $81 billion in terms of
Ukraine war.
to the Ukraine war in terms of military, economic, and human resource. 81 billion. Trump comes in and says, why are we doing this?
Why
How
are
is
we
it
wasting
aiding us?
money?
This is wasting money. It's not like we'll benefit so much from the war. He said the European people are right next door. Why shouldn't they join the war and aid those people?
And they're not helping.
They're not doing anything.
They're not even including Ukraine in NATO.
Exactly. So Trump actually makes sense. At the end of the day, people didn't just support him for nothing. Designating cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorists organization. And there's actually a list that is being waited for Trump to mention the cartels that he sees and the cartels that are going after in February. Establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. That one by Elon Musk. Protecting the American people against invasion. Protecting the United States from foreign terrorists. Putting American first in international environment agreements like that Paris climate. They want America first.
America first.
Sisi ndo kusema. Restoring the death penalty, which was quite strong, and protecting public safety. Securing our borders, what you're already saying he did on day one. In terms of the borders, defending women from gender ideology. He only said there are 2 genders.
Male and female.
Only. Bi, trans, and nothing like that.
Forget about it.
And that's what I think we saw was most trending on that day, because he strongly talked about it during his inauguration. Restoring names that honor American greatness. For example, Mount Denali, they said these are Indian names at Turkey. We are changing it back to Mount McKinley. Mount McKinley, that was from William McKinley, who was a former president of the United States of America. And then disclassifying records concerning assassination of JFK, Senator, President JFK, Senator Robert F.K., and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Such stuff. So that's what he did mostly. And it's important for us to follow and see, because these policies really affect the markets. At the end of the day, we are traders, investors. So you want to look at, okay, how are these policies going to affect the markets and all that. So I wanted to start with that. I'm sure most people didn't know about this. He also came later on and said the people who were fired during the COVID to be the military people who refused to take the job during the COVID-19 to be fully compensated and get back to work and such stuff. So you're saying this guy means business. At the end of the day,
he's a businessman, so he's not a politician.
Trump means these are not simple orders that you just wake up and say, okay, let's sign orders. No. This guy has thought about it. He has a very big team in terms of advisory on what to implement, what not to implement. We're waiting to see. Most people are speculating if Trump can make if his words can come true in terms of ending a lot of these wars that are happening in Gaza and Ukraine. He might also be eligible to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. During his reign, there was no war across the world.
Yeah, actually, Ken told me that the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, there was no war.
There was no war across the world.
And the Biden pulled out the Afghanistan
people.
During Trump, they weren't.
During Trump, there was that war, but he was not the one responsible for allowing those people to, take over Afghanistan. When he was president, there was peace in that country because the United States troops were the ones who were in charge. You get? So Biden is the one who came in and said, you guys leave the country.
That's what I was saying. People are saying he has the trifactor effect.
Which is
Feared, loved, respected.
yeah.
If you
It's
can
hard
have
to
those
have
three
those three.
things, it's
as a
very
poli-
hard.
It's
If
very
other people
hard. In
love
fact,
you,
as a politician, it's even harder.
it's the hardest. It's
Yeah.
either you're loved, feared, or respected. Someone
Mostly
can
people
respect
are
you, but
feared and
doesn't mean
respected.
yes. Most people are either feared, or
Especially
respected.
politicians. I feel like even in the Prince, he normally says it's better to be feared than loved. It's hard to have that
Machiavelli.
combination. Yeah, the combination where you're loved and feared. That's a
Yeah,
good
the
one.
trifecta. Yes, that's what people are saying. Right now, they're starting to see that because what people are also speculating, Trump really learned a lot from his previous presidency mistakes, his highs and lows. He already had data, so this time he came with the data.
He knew already
He
what
knows
to
the
do.
people who are against him. He knows those people in power who are just pretending. He knows different world leaders who are for him, who are against him, who are just pretending and easily jump ship. So he has that data. He knows. So now, with the way he marketed himself, what he talked about, it made people, he could talk on behalf of Americans, so they get to love him. He could talk in terms of the implementation is coming, so people start fearing him. And some others, you're like, okay, we respect this guy. This guy, what he's doing, it's respectable, it's commendable, it's not been done ever. So people actually, so that's the trifecta effect that I'm talking about. So yeah, so I can start from there.
Yeah, so those are orders that have been executed. But I think where I will start personally is I would look at what he stands for as an individual and as a Republican. So Republicans are known to be conservatives. They are pro-individualism. That's why America first comes after. It's no longer about global, what's this called? Globalism. This idea of, we are globalization is the word I was looking for. This idea that, we function as a globe, let's trade as a globe. No, it's basically how much are you bringing to the table so that we value you as an individual. Stop relying on us, telling us that, you guys will benefit in this or you're helping us. No, the basic idea is America first. And that's why you can see companies like DeepSeek were even denied, DeepSeek, they were denied chances to have NVIDIA chips. Why? It's because of the idea again of America first. So Republicans believe in the idea of individuals. And I also believe in that idea. I believe that the best way an individual can help other people is by helping himself. I tend to believe that the best way to be useful to other people is to prosper yourself. Unfortunately, if I do well economically, I'll be able to reach more people than if I don't do well economically.
Facts.
So it's a selfish interest, but it's also not a selfish interest. And I think that's also what Republicans stand for. And that's the nature of capitalism. And it is the best system that has been proven to work over the years. If you look at communist countries, people are always running away from communist countries. I was listening to a guy who was saying, in Cuba, people would put their children in ships and they'd be left in the country and they'd say, you go to a different place and try and find life in a different place. And the main reason for that was because Cuba was a communist country. So if you look at where capitalism has been established to the best, and the best place to test that is America. The individual comes first. That's Americanism, the idea that, the individual is the one that matters. If the individual can do well, if Bill Gates can build Microsoft to be the biggest company, let him do it. If Elon Musk can own all the wealth, let him do it. But he'll be able to transfer it to other people. Now, obviously, there are people who don't like that and they're still Americans, or at least they're in a different camp who would vote for something different. But I think that's what conservative people are vying for. And that's why you can see they tend to favor traditional ideas, genders, male and female only. This idea of there's a different gender, that's not something that they are very, very interested in. They are more interested in traditional ideas, conservative ideas, not liberal ideas or new ways of doing things. And that is what Trump is really, really standing for and pushing America towards. And I really want to see how that will work. So from a business perspective, some policies we expect. One is deregulation. You've heard Caleb speaking about the different orders that have been executed. And there are more orders coming in. And if you look at what has taken place in Argentina, go and study Javier Milei, one of the best presidents. He's done what not many presidents have done what Javier Milei has done. Javier Milei has brought Argentina from a trade deficit of 14 years to a trade surplus in less than a year. And how he did that is by, again, reforms. He said they do 3 to 6 reforms every single day. For the last 1 year, that's what he's been doing. Implementing reforms and bringing back power to the people. He cut his government staff by half. Have you ever thought about how much we waste? Like, for example, if we look at our Kenyan government. Have you ever gone to an office? It has 7 people, and that work can be done by 1 person, or even you don't need really 7 people in the office. You just need 1. And if you can, the funniest thing is if you sack all these 5 people, they don't become less productive. They become more useful to the economy, because by the time you tell them, you guys don't have work here anymore because there's nothing you're doing, they will have to either reskill themselves and fill other positions. They will have to either go into entrepreneurship and bring out economic productivity. They will have to go into other things that are likely to benefit the country, not to take the country backwards.
I heard Elon talking about this in terms of there's some departments, they have about more than 400 government departments. And he said, why do they exist? They should be less than 100. They're saying these people are spending your money badly.
Exactly.
Because it's not cheap to pay these people, move around, feed them.
All these things. Like for a country, I feel like that is the first place, if I were given president, watu wa serikali wangeumia. That is the first place I'd bring efficiency, because I see a lot of waste taking place there. And that is in the public sector. Even in the private sector, if you look at a company, you'll discover that your company, let's say, has 10 employees. You can do that same work with 5. And that's something we've both learned in business. Like there are times where we used to be like 10 or 15 in the team. We were many. And we cut that team and we still have the same level of productivity we had
as before.
So sometimes as humans, we waste a lot in terms of even productivity. So Javier Milei cut his staff by half. Half of them were laid off. And all that money that was being spent there was again taken to the public. He was the first one to bring free trade. So he killed import duty.
Okay.
Why kill import duty? Because it's distorting free trade, and import duty is bound to benefit the government, and the government is not efficient in spending these resources. And he killed that.
And that same idea is what experts are saying will really help Africa.
Exactly.
Because Africa, if you just look at it, Americans, good thing, they are borderless. Yes, they have states, but they're borderless. There are about 340 million Americans, and they can trade with one another from New York to California to Texas. So within their own ecosystem, country, they have trade understanding. In Africa, we have about 1.3 billion people, but what limits us is those barriers.
Exactly.
Those borders.
You can't buy a Toyota in South Africa and bring it here.
Exactly. If I can be able to do business in Kenya, and I have already on my platform without any trade complications and tax problems to 1 billion people.
That's a big population.
Big population. China in its own has 1 billion people. So if it just launches a product within its country,
there's a lot of
you can become a billionaire just within your own country. But in Africa, that's unheard of.
And that's the funniest thing that after listening to Javier Milei, I started thinking, okay, so basically the problem we have is not as Africans now. It's not that we lack resources. It's just that we have leaders who don't pay attention to those things. Period. Like it's just a function of, like, for example, why not clone what Milei has done? If you're a leader and you're really interested in making your people prosper, just go study that guy. He's implemented 10 principles. Come and implement them. Facts. Like, it's a very simple thing. Implement those principles and see the effect that those principles will have. But people will tell you it's not like that, it doesn't work that way, and many other excuses which don't really add up. So the Traders Show just got bigger and better. We're thrilled to announce that Pepperstone is now the official sponsor of the Traders Show. This means we shall have more content for you guys, we shall have bigger guests coming into the show, and we shall be able to reach a wider audience. Pepperstone is a world-leading Forex broker that offers you a chance to trade different markets, including CFDs, currencies, commodities, and indices. To start off, you can open an account with them using the links in the description below. But I feel like one of the things that I'm really watching out for is the fiscal policies that Trump will implement. He's already calling for lower rates in the markets. He's already calling for tariffs in some countries. He's already calling for taxation to go lower. Like I saw he's already sent a proposal to Senate for lower taxes, or to the House of Congress, I think, to eradication of income tax or something of the sort. Someone who was earning 100,000 was being deducted. I saw those figures. It was being deducted about 14,000 per year. He will add an extra 7,000 in his income per year. So more power to the people.
Makes sense. If he's cutting many unnecessary costs,
He can have now
then
enough
he can have
money to even
to help the Americans.
exactly
Because he's very much pro-American.
pro-American. So from a policy perspective, I'm very keen to see the fiscal policies that he'll implement. But most of them are likely to take markets higher astronomically. And that's also something that now worries me a bit. I feel like there's too much excitement that we tend to forget that the laws of economics are whatever goes up must come down. So he might also engineer one of the greatest crashes that will ever be seen. Because of the excitement that is there with people and the money that people will have. You know, people will have a lot of money to spend, and they'll put that money in markets, and markets will go extremely high, and people will think things will never turn back. But then the laws of economics are always that there's always something that will happen, and a turn will come.
And if we pause there a bit to continue talking about what you're talking about now in terms of markets, with Trump presidency, we're seeing what you've just talked about, the stock market, really affecting the stock market. People are excited. It's going to be an era like no other era. Markets are going to go up. This is a innovations. So technological companies are going to soar. And now it's important to talk about also the cryptocurrency companies and the cryptocurrency community as well. You're seeing Trump has become pro-crypto very much. This is part of how he won a lot of supporters as well. You can see people like Gary Gensler, who was the SEC chairman, who retired even immediately Trump won. He retired.
He resigned.
He resigned from presidency. Gary Gensler was against companies like Ripple Labs, which is headed by Brad Garlinghouse, which now has the token XRP, which is a payment. It focuses on payments globally for banks, people, and all that, transfer of money seamlessly. So that's what XRP does. Now you're seeing Brad Garlinghouse is very much close with the presidency and the team of Trump in order to bring more implementations or better implementations for the crypto community as a whole. So crypto, you're also seeing people like Ken keeps saying this guy buys anytime he wants. What's his name?
Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy. Ken says he does not have a strategy.
No, he has, but I don't think.
You don't. It's not making sense.
I wouldn't use it personally. I wouldn't buy.
You wouldn't copy paste what he does.
Exactly. I wouldn't even try to. If I was given his position, I'd make decisions way differently. That's my point. But he has his own strategy.
If you know Michael Saylor, he has about almost $50 billion in terms of Bitcoin holding. He only holds Bitcoins, no other cryptocurrency. In terms of Bitcoin holdings in his company, MicroStrategy, then they offer bonds relying on the Bitcoin company, then forming ETFs. But we'll talk about that deeper in a different video. Which other crypto supporters? He has the CEO of Coinbase. What's his name? I keep forgetting. Is it Brian Armstrong?
Armstrong.
Yes, Brian. So he has a big supporting because for a long time, banks have not been adopting crypto. And this has been happening economically around the world. So not only in America. Now, you're starting to see that shift, and you're starting to see a lot of investment banks, hedge funds, a couple of banks, certain countries like Cuba, and many other countries starting to adopt cryptocurrency. Here in Kenya, we're actually sort of adopting, we sort of have rumors here and there that we may adopt the cryptocurrency and blockchain technology soon, but those are still speculation and rumors. Until they're factual is when we'll wait for that. But yeah, banks are jumping ship, and Ken was discussing with me earlier on, and it's something he posted that We are having net buyers on Bitcoin.
Yeah, so we have
At
something
the moment,
called...
today is what date?
Today's
30th January 2025,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have something called COT, Commitment of Traders Report, which tells us the positioning of most traders. And we have categories. So we have commercials, and we have people who are hedging, and we have speculators. So to just explain what that means, commercials are the guys who are in the business. Like, for example, if a farmer is in the coffee business, he sells his proceeds to a company that processes the coffee and sells the coffee. So that's the commercial. They're not in the business of speculating, they're in the business of selling coffee. So they're the commercial. But then now there are speculators, or people who are called hedgers, who will say, okay, coffee right now is cheap, but in 6 months coffee will be more expensive. So what can I do? I can sell some coffee right now, or buy and hold and wait for that time. You're trying to hedge against the price. But then now there are pure speculators, guys like us, who, what we are intending to do when we buy any asset is we want to buy something here and sell it at a different price. And so we always know which positioning people have on the different markets. And right now, Bitcoin, we have net long speculators, whereby all speculators are buying Bitcoin. All speculators are assuming that Bitcoin will go higher in price. And that is a very risky thing because
We can't all be buyers.
we can't all be buyers. We need some, especially speculators. You know, if you're all net long, then who's buying from you? Who'll buy from you? You're net long already. So markets have to recorrect for the net long position to come down and people to get a better price to buy. So we're not saying Bitcoin will go down, but
It's not financial advice.
it's not financial advice. But if you own some Bitcoin, well, take your
some
time to
profits.
think. Yeah, if you bought it recently, you could have bought a loss, and it's better to. The first loss is always the best one. The other one will be forced out. Note carefully. The first loss is always the best one. The one that you're forced out is not a very good loss, because by the time you're forced out of your position, it means generally you're at a you're making an emotional decision. And I was telling Caleb, you know, at this point, everyone thinks Bitcoin can only go up. You guys have not even seen a 20% correction. If it goes back to 80,000, some people will have lost a lot of money and they won't be able to hold it back to 80,000.
Billions, MicroStrategy and the likes.
Yeah, so if it goes to 50, 60,000, a minor correction kidogo too, some people will panic and things won't go well. So, yeah, that's about Bitcoin, what you are talking about.
And I'm in the camp of when we see a crash sooner or later, Bitcoin can go below 10,000.
Yeah.
You heard it from me first. I mean, it sounds pessimistic, and a lot of people who are holding Bitcoin right now,
they'll refuse.
They don't want to hear what Caleb is saying.
Guy,
I'm very pro Bitcoin. I'm not against.
This guy is saying 10K. Possible. Even in the comments, you can add your comments and say it's impossible.
The more impossible comments you get, the more
better.
possible we see it can happen. Because what was that? The law of reflexivity. What does it say? By George Soros.
The law of reflexivity says that market prices influence fundamentals, but fundamentals also influence market prices. In that, the current price we have is likely to influence fundamentals to favor long Bitcoins.
Yes.
But lower prices are also likely to influence fundamentals to favor further lower prices. So if you just think about that, when it starts going down, it could go down completely. Mm-hmm. Just like when it was at 10,000 and you told someone Bitcoin could go to 100,000, they will tell you, you're lying to me. It's impossible. It can't happen.
It's the same thing if it can go down to 10,000.
Thank you. Even 5.
Even 5.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We've seen many cryptos crash more than 99%.
Amazon stock in the height of .com bubble was at $240 per share.
It crashed to
$6 a share. $6 a share when the .com bust took place.
99%.
Yeah, so these things happen. It happens a lot.
I have
of
data
time.
here that I use. So also you guys can check it out if you're more, if you like looking at companies' data and all. So there's a website called Companies Market Cap. It's almost like the coin market cap, but now for companies. So if you look here, what you're saying, 1998, this company, from 1997 to 1998, it grew from 1 billion to 17 billion. Then the next year it grew 54% to 26 billion.
It almost doubled.
So from 1990, to 1999, it went all the way to 26 billion. Okay, in the next 2 years that followed, from 2000 and 2001, it crashed all the way back to 4 billion.
Yeah. So from 20 billion to 4 billion is the market cap. Just look at that. You know, something was valued at 20 billion,
and
it comes to 4.
And it crashed more than that. What we are seeing here is end of year.
Exactly.
So during the .com itself in the year, it was much less
Lower.
than that. It crashed, what Ken is saying, 99%,
Yeah.
and all the way back. But you're seeing the company now is back up to now, they have a market capitalization of 2.4 trillion.
Yeah.
So in the long term, yes, we are very bullish in the long term, especially on things that give value.
I feel like right now you should be holding cash, not even buying things.
Cash is king.
Yeah, things are right now
When
overvalued.
things crash
If
and
you're
you see
buying
Bitcoin
value,
at 10,000 and you can't afford it, and
Look,
you, my friend, will always
should-
see markets going up, down, and you'll never take advantage of any opportunity.
Yeah. You should try to buy things when you have the least chance of losing money. That's where you should start from. I don't think right now if you buy most things you have lower. If you buy Bitcoin at 100, you don't think you can lose money on that? I think there's a higher chance you can even lose money.
There's a big chance.
Yeah. So
Market has been in an uptrend from 15,000 all the way to
100,000
There's a big correction that can happen along the way.
along the way. So take your time and just think around. A top maybe somewhere around the corner. And these things, it's hard for you to know when it will come along. It could be even 3 years from now. Yes.
Yeah, so even after Trump's, because you're saying it could be, Trump's presidency could be establishment of the next crash.
Yeah.
Not necessarily within
His presidency.
His term, yeah.
So we don't, that's why we say we don't time markets. Timing the markets is more important than timing the markets. So the time you spend in the markets is more important than that out of time.
Hey guys, we're taking Forex education to the next level. Join us every week for live exclusive webinars where we break down market insights and trends, fundamental analysis, market sentiment, pro strategies that we use here at Financial Hub, and live Q&A sessions with us. Whether you're a seasoned trader or a beginner, this is an opportunity for you to learn, grow, and trade smarter, all free thanks to PaperStone. Next session drops soon. Stay tuned and don't miss out.
But anyway, these things take long to learn. Even for us, it took us a long time and many mistakes for us to get to that point where you can say, okay, I can see madness, but I won't take part in it. You know, it's
To understand that cash is king a few years ago, said no,
yeah. So
buy Bitcoin.
if you look at markets like gold is now
Yeah.
about 2,800. We're going almost to 3,000. Recently in 2020, gold was about 1,800 new highs. Now we almost double that, 3,000. How long can it keep going? How long? You should ask yourself that.
Law of economics. What goes up must come down.
Yeah. So, but it's too early also to go short. Don't start selling.
Yes.
things
Not
yet.
financial
It's
advice.
too
But
early.
if you bought it low, start taking profits.
Yeah.
Don't HODL forever.
Yeah.
Unless you're holding a company like MicroStrategy. But most speculators are not playing that game.
Yeah.
Almost 90% of people are playing the speculative game. A very small number of people are the ones who are holding it long term. We are seeing like Ross Ulbricht was released from prison on day one after Trump became president. Now, for those who do not know, go read a book called Bitcoin by, who wrote? You remember that book?
I
The
remember.
first book we read
We read on Bitcoin.
early on Bitcoin. I've forgotten who the author is. He's a funny guy. But he talked about Ross Ulbricht and the company Silk Road. It was the first ever exchange of Bitcoins. It's just that now online they started buying and selling of black market goods, and all those things led to the founder being sentenced to life
Imprisonment.
plus 40 years on top without parole.
Life imprisonment.
It was unnecessary. It was
Why would you add 40 years? This guy's already there
It
for
was-
life.
So he spent that was in 2014, he spent about 10 years in prison. But day one, Trump released him out of prison and he's now a free man.
Hope really exists. Even if you can't see it coming. That guy never thought it would be released ever.
Yeah, and he has, I think, about $50 million worth of crypto in his
At
account.
the point of release.
Right now, he's not sold or done anything to them.
So he was a millionaire in prison.
Yeah. And I think he has a bit more. That's what was disclosed. I think he had a bit more. But anyway, so there's sort
Life can
of
be hard.
some excitement, what Ken is saying, a little bit irrationality. People are just, everything is great. Not just America, everything. The markets will go up and all
Yeah.
that. But at the end of the day, have that side eye to look at things differently from a different angle and question why are markets at these prices? Why are markets just going up? Nothing is coming down. Ken shared with me the article by the bubble one.
By Howard Marks.
By Howard Marks, talking about what's going on around the world. Such scenarios. It's not the first time. There's nothing new under the sun. These things, if you read history,
Especially in the stock market, there's that AI. It's the new thing. Hakuna kitu mpya kama hiyo. I was actually looking at between 1881 and 1981, there were so many technological inventions, including the airplane, including cars. All those things happened between that time frame. And the laws of economics have never changed. Probably people started thinking that when you start flying and things are being able to be moved through air, trade will happen faster, so things went higher. But then eventually everything comes back. So even AI, it's not something that will change how markets work. Not at all. Markets will forever remain the same. The minority will always make money. The laws of supply and demand will always function. As long as there is no one else to buy from you, prices have to come down. That's just how markets work.
Yeah, and what was speculating with Ken is that tech companies and AI and Bitcoin, blockchain companies, cryptocurrency companies are what will fuel the next crash.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot of exuberance, markets will soar. You're seeing what Trump is doing with the likes of Satoshi Nakamoto, Larry Ellison, and Sam Altman. Sorry, Masayoshi-san.
I don't know Satoshi.
Masayoshi-san. Creating this target project, which has really gotten a lot of setbacks and criticism, especially after DeepSeek released their AI. People telling, why are you spending so much money, 500 billion to create such a city when China can do it at 1/20th?
But will China have done it without OpenAI?
Exactly. So that's what speculation is going on around, that they stole some models to teach
the other one,
and that's why they achieved such a milestone with less money at very fast pace.
Yeah, copying is, even Altman tweeted, copying is very different from innovating.
That's true.
China is good at copying.
Very
US is good at innovating. So we are not at the same game again. So that's my opinion, though.
Yeah. So speculations, things will happen. These are normal. It's just understand what's going on. As we find it exciting, as much as things are up and down, it's fascinating times. Now we can see some action, some crazy action. I was just looking here. If you start looking at companies like Nvidia in 2018, it was worth 81 billion. Right now, they're worth 3 trillion.
So in 7 years, you want to tell me this company has moved from being worth 18 billion, not to 100, not to 200, not to a trillion, but 3 trillion. That's hype.
A single company worth 3 trillion.
Hype.
We're seeing a single human being by the name Elon Musk worth 400 billion. The GDP of Kenya is 100 billion. This guy is 4 times bigger
than
one
GDP.
person, not even his company.
One
person is 4 times bigger than. I see a lot of people arguing there's no need of comparing net worth.
When you say these things,
GDP.
I just think about how much cash I should have stacked up somewhere, just waiting for these things to come down, because they'll come down astronomically.
Yes, and the main ones will survive and will see research and markets come up. So many people say don't compare market cap and GDP of countries. They're totally different things. But at the same time, it is what it is. When we're talking about GDP, gross domestic product, is the country's trade and all that per year. So it's important also to look, okay, as much as it's not the same thing, it's still the same,
almost similar,
same bracket of discussion.
Yeah.
So some things are quite extreme. We have the Buffett indicator that Buffett talks about, and I share this.
The Buffett indicator.
Yes, the Buffett indicator.
Which tells you what?
You're a big fan of Buffett, so it's important to follow the Buffett indicator.
He's a rational man.
He's a very, very rational man.
Very rational man.
So the Buffett indicator is the ratio of the total United stock market to GDP. So you take the total US stock market value divided by the GDP.
Of the particular country.
Okay. So for example, the Buffett indicator took here that the total stock market is at 60 trillion and the GDP is roughly at 30
29
trillion.
trillion.
29 point something trillion. So if you divide the two, you get 200%. Now, the ratio fluctuates over time since the value of stock markets can be very volatile, but GDP tends to grow at a much predictable rate. The current ratio of 200% is approximately 66% above the historical trend line, suggesting that the stock market is strongly overvalued relative to GDP.
Yeah. See, mimi nimesema Buffett.
So if you look at this, so I think we'll do a video on this as well so that we can show this chart.
That would be a nice video by there. That would be a nice video.
Why does this matter? The Buffett indicator expresses the value of US stock market in terms of size of the economy. If the stock market value is growing much faster than the actual economy, then it may be in a bubble.
So this one has done already one. I've seen Howard Marks also with Bubble Watch, talking about the hype going on. AI, it's a different thing. Someone who's never taken, someone who doesn't even.
Everyone's saying the trillionaire will come from AI.
Boss. Like
Everything is positive.
Everything is now positive. This invention is going to change the world.
Trump is going to help fuel and support
exactly
such innovation.
It's called Bubble Watch. We are watching. And if you look at the cash pile that Buffett has about $182 billion in cash.
180 or 300?
It's double, about 275, 300.
200 and something.
Yeah.
Billion, the biggest he's ever held in terms of cash.
In cash. If you ask him, why are you not buying anything? There's nothing good to buy.
They're very good companies, but it's not the right time
to buy.
And we talk about that a lot.
It's not what you. It's not what you buy. It's what you.
It's what you what?
It's what you pay.
Oh yes. It's not what you buy.
It's what you pay.
It's what you pay. Wait for discounted prices. You can buy very good companies. They're not going. Not all companies will go to zero. And what Buffett also says, when the music stops playing, or when the tide runs out.
When the tide goes out, that you know who's been swimming naked.
So who had risk? Who did not have? Who was planned? Who did plan?
Just don't be caught naked.
Don't be caught naked. So those are things we learn from the experts. I think there's someone also who was trending saying Buffett doesn't understand the times.
Who was that?
There's someone,
He
on
must
social
have
media,
trended.
you get to see many different people. Doesn't know the times. He's an old guy. He knows how to buy food companies, airlines, and Coca-Cola.
So economics has now changed.
So to him, Buffett's crypto AI is totally new market that he won't participate in and doesn't understand. But like we've said, economics, the laws of economics
never change.
Yeah. So those are what we're seeing on the Trump presidency. Just to summarize what we have talked about, we're looking at how the stock market is going to, what Ken was saying, if you get the tariffs, the trade, what is it called? Agreements between countries come to, how he'll deal with the war, tax reliefs, getting people back to jobs, and seeing all that. We want to see how that is going to affect the stock market and all that. On my side, I'm also, like I've said, paying attention to the cryptocurrency. This is a pro-crypto person and AI person. We want to see how that will affect the market. Like we've said, we might see a big surge just followed by another, like what we saw with Trump's meme coin.
Yeah.
First day went up more than 50 billion just for it to crash more than 50%.
Just half value.
In the next day. It didn't even take long. I think the first day it was up. The next day, Melania Trump tried to release hers, just crashed. I don't know what she was doing. Okay, I didn't understand that what they were doing with that. But anyway, so it's exciting times, but also it's times to also have these great opportunities to take advantage of. But at the same time, risk management will be key. Understanding where to put, diversifying your portfolio and all that.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, so I think generally we've given you some good insights. You obviously need to do more research. We've just shared with you
Our own insights
and opinions of the different things. But I think generally we've shared with you what is likely to come. More volatility, more fiscal policies that support businesses rather than the government, more tweets, a lot of efficiency, a lot of risks also. I think that comes with a lot of risks. I wouldn't want to own things long term at this particular point. I don't think it's a good time to buy things, specifically stocks. My research doesn't indicate that. So just different opinions that you can look at, do more research on, gain more wisdom on them, and then when the time finally comes, you will know that it's time for you to now act on what we were talking about. They always say you buy when others are greedy, you buy when others are fearful, and you sell when others are greedy. I feel like there's a lot of greed right now, and there's a lot of easy money being made. Like for that Trump coin, so someone deposit $1,000 and become a millionaire overnight. Those things don't happen, guys. If you made your money that way, you're very lucky.
Get out.
And probably you lose it that way. If you've watched,
so you put bigger bets.
Yeah,
$10,000.
Yeah, so your 10,000 is $1 million. Instead of looking at it as luck, you feel like you're a genius. Then you lose the $1 million because you're a genius. So
everyone is a genius in a bull market.
Everyone. That's the best. We can leave it at that. Right now, we're all geniuses, but we lose swimming naked in time. Make sure you're not caught naked.
So yeah, guys, let us end there. Hope you've enjoyed, gotten some insights from us. More content of this to come, and more guests lined up, and some special thing that we have for you, pretty much. So wait on that. But like I always say, stay woke, stay financially literate, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Definitely.